to matters financial and geopolitical from the frontier. Thank you kindly for stopping by. I'm always grateful. I apologize for my recent absence, but we had a couple of things meant we couldn't really get to the podcast, but we're back, and a happy new month to all of you as well. We had a wonderful Mind Speak session on Saturday. We're in the edit suite. Details will follow imminently. I'll put up a photograph that a young man from the University of Nairobi insisted on taking, a rather good one. And I thank my guests, Kenya Bankers Association, I thank Joshua, I thank John Kachora. The Standard picked up on the story and said bank bosses call for forced consolidation to boost sector. Apparently this is a report on the Standard to take a takeaway of what was said at the session. Of course, I'll release the edit as soon as I can, and you can see for yourself. But a lot of important points came out of that, and it was a great session. My weekend piece is called "If It's Money You Want, Buy Precious Metals." The actual headline was, I copied President Obama. If this material works, I'm going to use it at Goldman Sachs next year. Earn me some serious Tubmans, he said. I said, earning Tubmans in the market is always a 24-hour job. Earning Tubmans is always a 24-hour job, and where we cannot leave the screen for even a moment. The currency markets, I said, have been seeing some serious action of late, with the Japanese yen surging more than 4.5% last week for its second biggest gain since long-term capital in October 1998. The markets feel that Abenomics is a busted flush, and the Bank of Japan might be brandishing a bazooka, but it has not got any bullets. You will recall I said on January the 11th that one of my conviction trades was for 2016 was to buy the yen against just about everything. I also, this time, was saying that the pound has been on the mend, the dollar has come under pressure and now has fallen for 3 months, and this is now the longest stretch since before it embarked on a 2-year 20% rally in July 2014. The dollar has fallen 5.9% this year. The US economy expanded 0.5% in Q1 2016 on an annualized basis, signaling the economy has hit a brick wall. The Kenya shilling is at an 8-month high and interestingly has exhibited a great deal of alpha when compared to its peers. Brent crude has ramped up nearly 80% since slumping to a multi-year low in January. This rebound actually mimics what happened this time last year. It's close to a mirror image. A lot of folks, myself included, think this is a head fake and that the rally has been a vicious short covering one. Shorts are folks who sell an asset in the expectation that they can buy the same asset back later at a lower price and therefore for a profit. Shorts have been burned and the market is now net long. Gold and silver have surged to 15-month highs and both look set to push on further. Closer to home, the dollar sell-off and a perception that President Zuma is set to be terminated has seen the rand rally to 2016 highs. The Egyptian stock market entered a bull market in March and is leading the African equity indices and is plus 10.95% in 2016. Here at the Nairobi Securities Exchange, investors will be keenly awaiting the full year earnings release from the exchange's bellwether stock Safaricom on May 11th. I expect muscular earnings from Safaricom, and my year-end price target is $22.50, which will underpin a positive 2016 for the indices. EABL has surged to a 2016 closing high since spicing things up with the announcement of a shilling 4.5 special dividend, and is now plus 8.79% and headed higher. In the accompanying announcement of the special dividend, EABL said, the board is also encouraged by the strong financial outlook for the second half of the year ending June 30th, 2016, buoyed by robust performance in our premium beers and spirits. I spoke of a bifurcation of the stock market previously, and this bifurcation is set to accelerate with the big caps outperforming the small caps. The banking industry remains fluid, and I continue to see the situation playing to the advantage of Tier 1 banks. KCB is set to pick up the pieces and to its advantage. So if it's Tubman's you're after, stay long the yen, buy some precious metals, and consider shorting crude oil. Home thoughts, Leicester City. I'm so proud, Claudio Ranieri said. Look at this photograph and it took me back to Muhammad Ali. Impossible is nothing. Impossible is just a big word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in the world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. Impossible is not a declaration, it's a dab. Impossible is potential. Impossible is temporary. Impossible is nothing. I like this quote from Roberto Bolaño, and I'm still waiting for my book 2666. The sky at sunset looked like a carnivorous flower. I like this photograph that was tweeted by Forodani House Lamu Kusi season with the bestest skies always. Then I came across an article about Roberto Bolaño. Relationships in Bolaño's world tend to be febrile and fleeting. They sever relationships, friendships, quit jobs, abandon apartments without giving notice, skip the return flight home, assume new identities, flee combustive love affairs, cut off ties to everyone they have ever known, head off into the desert, simply disappear. Relationships in Bolaño's world tend to be febrile but fleeting, yielding memories suffused by the afterglow of emotion. His narratives are often the testimonies of people the wanderers leave behind. Powerful stuff. Then he says this, and I don't know whether it is just I'm feeling older. The dream of our youth, the most valiant dream of all. And I like this quote from 2666. I steal into their dreams, he said. I steal into their most shameful thoughts. I'm in every shiver, every spasm of their souls. I steal into their hearts. I scrutinize their most fundamental beliefs. I scan their irrational impulses, their unspeakable emotions. I sleep in their lungs during the summer and their muscles during the winter. And all of this I do without the least effort, without intending to, without asking or seeking it out, without constraints, driven only by love and devotion. Like this photograph from Laurent Baheu, an animal's eyes have the power to speak a great language. Political reflections. An Iraqi state of emergency has been declared as protesters camped outside parliament and then stormed it. But now they seem to have withdrawn. Muqtada al-Sadr was always a thorn in the side of the authorities, and I think he's now essentially the kingmaker. The Independent is saying Saudi Arabia is about to attempt its own version of Mao's great leap forward. Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the son of the ailing King Salman and de facto ruler of Saudi Arabia, has launched a highly ambitious plan under which he says his country will speedily end its addiction to oil. In terms of its revolutionary ambition, lack of realism and potential for disruption, the plan has parallels with Mao Zedong's Great Leap Forward in 1958, which aimed to change China rapidly from an agricultural to an industrial economy, but produced only disaster. Skeptics say that turning the value of Saudi Arabia's main asset into a liquid form is also highly convenient for the Saudi royal family. They may calculate that the political and economic tide has permanently turned against them. If the Saudi royals ever have to flee like the Shah, then it is much in their interest to have their wealth in a form that can be held abroad or swiftly moved to safety. And I agree with Ian Bremmer, who concluded they are smoking the good stuff in the kingdom. Put up a photograph of the Deputy Crown Prince arriving in the UAE, welcomed by Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. POTUS was brilliant over the weekend at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Delivered his final speech at the annual White House Correspondents' Dinner. Have a look at the Dig video. I've got a link there. It's fabulous. He has his first laugh of the night. Obviously was enjoying himself, and very witty indeed. Politico, words trump tweets more often than any other candidate. Winner, worst, failed, bad, stupid, loser, worst, nasty. And then I like this essay by Leonid Beshitsky. Real Donald Trump is riding a warped 1980s nostalgia, he says. The 80s had been making a comeback, and the nostalgia goes far beyond shoulder pads or neon heels and big hair. In the US, it seems to be about a search for lost identity and emotions that are familiar to me as someone who lived through that decade in Moscow. Talking about the 80s and the comparison is quite a clever one. Then I like this quote from Ali Mazrui. Africa produces what it does not consume and consumes what it does not produce. Let's move on to the currency markets. The euro was briefly through 116, the figure. It's now 115.93. Dollar index has busted that key level of 93. It's at 92.15. Japanese yen earlier was at 105.57. Now 105.73. Swiss franc 0.9490. Pound 147.31. The Aussie, where they cut rates, is at 0.7606. Indian rupee 66.255. South Korean won 1138.22. The Rial 350, the figure. Egyptian pound 887, the rand 1423.76. So we've had a massive move through that bank holiday period. Dollar yen last week was off 4.5%. It's off further, so it's been a massive move. Biggest fall since October 2008. Let me put up something that Jamie had posted on Reuters, but basically it has extended. January the 11th, 2016, I wrote one of my conviction trades for 2016 is to buy the yen against just about everything, I said. Dollar index, I'll put up a 3-month chart, that's seen support at 93, busted wide open. The dollar index has dropped 1.9% in April, the third straight monthly drop and the longest streak since April 2015. Pressure continues to build, down 5.9% this year and a bit more. Euro dollar, we busted resistance at 114.50 and surged as high as 116.10 just earlier. We're now back around the 115.91 level. Forget Justin Trudeau, it's oil that's driving this loony rally. This is the stupendous rebound we've seen in the Canadian dollar. After reaching parity with the dollar 3 years ago, it plummeted 25% to touch a 13-year low in January as oil prices collapsed, and subsequently we've had a pretty meaningful rebound. Apple chalks up its longest losing streak in 18 years. This was on the revenue miss, which disappointed a lot of people. Gold hits a fresh 15-month high, just above 1,300. That was a moment ago. We're now at 1297.65. Bloomberg Precious Metals Sub-Index has jumped 23% in 2016 amid renewed demand for store of value. The Bloomberg Commodity Index posted its biggest monthly advance in more than 5 years last month. David Inglis, best performing commodities year to date, silver up 29%, gasoline up 26%, Brent oil up 25%, heating oil 24%, US crude and gold 22%, platinum 20%, and soybeans 17%. Gold, I'll put up a 6-month chart. I think the next stop is 1350 now. Silver looks bullish as well. It's following in the slipstream of gold and tends to be gold on steroids. Brent oil up nearly 18% from a January low, closing in on 50. I think you've got to start selling it now. We spent 4 hours with Vijay Mallya. He's a fugitive on the run. Just look at his photograph. Businessman and dictator face off as Congo lurches towards abyss. This is New York Times. This is the challenge to President Kabila that's coming out of Moise Katumbi. And he obviously will be a crucial figure. What happens next? He says at the moment everything is a bit stuck. We then learned that over the weekend, a coalition of opponents of President Kabila announced that Moise Katumbi is their joint opposition candidate for presidential elections due before the end of the year. So this will represent the most formidable opponent that President Kabila has faced so far. Burundi economy battered by year-long crisis, France 24. The economy shrank by 7.4% in 2015, taking Burundi from the world's third poorest country to the poorest, with a GDP of $315.2 per inhabitant. The question is how long Nkurunziza's administration can hold on. Barclays Africa sees bad loans rising as economy deteriorates. Malema, very effective, isn't he? And basically, it is President Zuma who's made Julius Malema such a formidable opponent. South African all shares up 4.47% so far this year. Dollar Rand, I'll put up a chart where we're at 2016 highs. Egyptian stock market, that's the most bullish of all the African indices, that's up 10.95%. Nigerian all share down 12.5% year to date. Ghana Stock Exchange Composite Index down 8.33% year to date. Interesting article that mobile airtime touts show Congo's franc is set to weaken further. Currency of Africa's biggest copper producers weakened 2.3% this year to 949. The franc is already changing hands at 978 on the parallel market. Traders who sell mobile credit to pedestrians in the city have been selling $1 of airtime at 1,200 francs for the past 2 weeks. Airtime rates in Kinshasa are a leading indicator in this market of where things will eventually go. Sishiani said by phone from the city. In the next month, I definitely think we will reach 1,000. The central bank rate is lagging from where the market is currently trading. I like this image from Costa Peric. Africa leads the world's digital financial revolution and Kenya leads Africa. That's a story. We had the biggest ivory burn in history over the weekend. I'll put up a photograph that Mwangi Kirubi tweeted. Vehicles shipped to Kenya increased by 40% to almost 110,000 a year between 2010 and 2015. And sometimes, where the economy slows down, but you miss the signals. I was telling Nishat, if you look at what's happened in the last 10 years, you really see that expansion. EABL, of course, made an announcement on the 27th of April around a special dividend of 4 shillings 50 cents a share. And that's seen EABL share price surge. It's up 8.79% year to date, headed higher. Share price data is there if you care to take a look at it. Kenya's ARM Cement, and I went to the announcement, gets $140 million equity investment from CDC Group. It's dilutive. Crown Paints have reported full-year profit before tax surged 43.052%. Full-year revenue up 11.559%. That's strong. Other income up dramatically 63%. Profit for the year up 55.962%. EPS, because they're a bonus share, is down 21.678%. But headline revenue growth of 11.559% is not something to be sneezed at. The Nairobi All Shares up 0.84% so far this year. NSE 20 down 0.78% so far this year, but that's hiding that bifurcation I previously told you all about. Once again, I'm grateful for you to stopping by, and thank you so much.